Hi, Jacob. How are you? Ron, come and have a look at it. Come and have a look at it, sweetheart.
Look at what, John?
See what the Zoom is on. You can see this thing at the back.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Reva.
Hi, how's it?
Hey, and you?
Oh, just, we haven't got a driver, so I'm running back and forth in and out the office, my home. It's chaos, but I'm fine. It's keeping me fit running up and down stairs, I want to tell you.
Oh, that's the hardest thing to do. My knees give me hell.
Yeah. No,
Hi, everybody.
Hello, Harriet. How are you?
Good, and you?
Hello, Jacob.
I
Hi.
love that photograph of you
Hi,
behind
Jacob.
Marlene. That's what we're going to announce tonight, what you're doing tomorrow.
Sorry, you know what I'm trying to do, Reva? I'd like your opinion. I'm trying to get a suitable background for tomorrow night. So Lael said she'd have a look, and seeing I'm talking about, my tennis career, I thought
think
that
that's
might
gorgeous, your photograph there, personally.
Okay, I'm not in the way or anything. It's okay, is it?
No, and it makes it so personal. It makes it so real. It makes it so part of now. So I love that.
Thank you. As soon as Lael comes in and sees it, I'll go into another room. You won't have to look at it.
No, please leave it. I like it. I like what was. And it's lovely that you're still here to talk about it. It's just I love it. Leave it alone.
Thank you.
Hey,
Oh,
Marlene.
Marlene, is that your Wimbledon days?
Well, I'm talking about it tomorrow I've been asked to speak in Germany about it. So I was just trying to find a good background. El, do you think it's okay?
Yeah, I do. I think that's great.
Okay, so then we can go into another room. That's enough for tonight.
No, you don't. Stay there.
No,
I like
no,
to see it there. I like it. It's cute, man. It's
sorry,
adorable.
it's too cold sitting in here. We'll go to our warm room.
Okay.
Yeah.
So everybody, hope everybody's okay.
I can't stay here. It's too cold.
I think so.
Hello, Harriet. Hello, Mary.
How are
No,
you?
the heat
Good,
is
how's it?
in the bedroom.
Fine.
Does it help to have the book?
Yeah, it's
Oh, yes.
So much better.
Oh, yes.
So Peter has apologized for tonight. She's working late.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm starting.
What's it, Reva?
I'm starting every Zoom meeting before the time with, finished. And you can all guess what that is.
Oh, that's a lot of oys.
It's there's a lot of oys at the moment. You've no idea. At least I'm here to say them.
That's right. That's right. 100%. Hi. How are you doing, Harold?
Fine, thank you.
Good. Thank you.
The bird's coming now.
No, that's great. Are you well?
I'm well, thanks.
Good. That's great news. Have you been vaccinated, Harold?
I've had my first one. I'm having my second one on the 20th.
Well done. Fantastic.
And when will the kids be able to have theirs?
Yeah, anyone who's 18 will be able to have theirs on the 1st of September, which is great news.
Have you had both?
I've had one. Next one, 2 weeks away.
Oh, okay.
I'm shutting up because it immediately gives your age away, Leo.
Ah,
Bloody cheat. I shouldn't joke so much about it. Every
That's right.
customer
Listen,
I have, everyone I meet, the first question is, have you had your vaccination?
It's the topic
Yeah,
of
that's right.
conversation at the moment.
yeah.
I'm nagging
Maybe you've just got to say,
everyone
I've had my
back.
first.
No
Yeah,
comment.
yeah. We've decided to set up tables in our buildings to register all of our tenants.
Wonderful.
Because I think a lot of people just don't quite get the whole thing. They
Yes.
don't know they have to register. So we've hired some students and we're putting them at tables in our lobbies, and then people have to register people on a tablet, and then we're going to give them a list of all the closest sites and then go from there. Shall we start?
Please.
Okay,
Not
fantastic.
that I've done anything, but please. Where's my homework?
There wasn't much to do this week. Reva, do you want to give us a quick intro and then I'm going to start us off, or should I just go?
I'm really getting COVID-19 zoomed out. Anyway, yes, Temple Israel Hillbrow, as usual, has great pleasure in introducing one of our very nicest sessions, and that is learning to read the actual Hebrew alphabet, those beautiful characters that jump out of you from our Siddur. Without any further ado, Lael Bethlehem, our teacher.
Thank you very much, Reva. So fabulous to see everybody. Hello, Robs. I see you just joined. Peter has apologized for tonight, and we'll see who else is still going to join us. I just want to start with an apology. Now that I actually got hold of the books, I can see that really I should have done that at the beginning, and it would have made life a lot easier for everybody. So I'm very sorry that I didn't get my act together at the beginning. But anyway, now we've got a number of people who have collected their books. And what I've now also done is I have made just physical copies, photocopied copies, in addition to the 5 physical books that I've got. So now that's very easy because I've got more copies of the book that are just ring bound from a photocopy. So you are all welcome to a copy. Reva, I thought I'd drop one off at your office for you. And anybody, I can send one for Peter with Marion on Thursday. Robs, if you feel like I can give you one whenever you're around, so we can all
make a plan.
Fantastic. So we can all have a decent copy because it's not so easy to just look at it on the screen. So those of you who've already got that, that's great. And then those who don't yet have that, we're just going to continue with the screen and hopefully we'll do well. So last week, I didn't actually ask for any homework. I didn't give any homework, but really it was just that we finished chapter 5, and I hope people just had a chance just to review chapter 5, because what we're doing today, very exciting roll of drums, is that we are starting chapter 6. And with chapter 6, it's actually the second last chapter in which we learn a new letter. So once you're through chapter 6, then I think it's only, in fact, it's only one more letter after that you haven't learned. So that's exciting. And we're also going to learn a vowel today. But as you will see from the markings I've made in the text, and I think, Harriet, I didn't scribble into your book, but I should. So I'm going to ask you to do it. The pronunciation that they give to some of the vowels is simply wrong. It says at the bottom of the book, it's Sephardic pronunciation, but even Sephardic people don't pronounce like that. So I'll just show you where I think the pronunciation is wrong. I can't understand how it can be, because this is like the millionth edition of this book. It's been reprinted many times. So you would, I don't know, or maybe it's because of the American accent. Anyway, I can't quite explain it, but anyway, it isn't right. So I will just explain that when we get there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen. Please, Jacob. And then we are going to go on to lesson 6. And I'm really hoping that by the time we get to the High Holy Days, you'll mostly be able to read from the Machzor. Having said that, I should say that next Tuesday I'll be away. So I'm thinking that possibly the following week we do a bit of a longer lesson or something like that, but perhaps we talk about it at the end. I'll try and leave a few minutes at the end. So those of you who've got the book, we are on chapter 6. And those who are following on screen, there it is. So in this, all right, you know what I'm going to do first, since we've got the last page of chapter 5 here on the left-hand side. what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you that they give us these words from our tradition. So they're trying to build a little bit of vocab. This is what Peter was really asking for a couple of weeks ago. They've got here 4 words that you can now read. You can read a lot more, but these are nice ones. The first one here that I'm circling, we actually did read in the course of chapter 5, and that's Negev. Negev. Most important thing is you can see the vowel. The vowel is the E vowel. The E, the 3 dots. E, Negev, bed, elephant, that kind of an E. E, Negev. So that's the Negev desert. As opposed to this vowel, the A. So here this word is Levi. Now it's a bit confusing because they put the English word, which looks like Levi, but anyway, that's not what it is in Hebrew. In Hebrew, it's Levi, and that is the Levites. Levi. And you all recognize that vowel. That's the A sound as opposed to E. A, not E. And then here you've got a word that you've been able to read for quite a long time already. Shana. Shana, as in Shana Tova. And then here's a word coming up for us all very soon. Salach. Salach means to forgive. Vayomer Adonai salachti kidvarecha. And God said, I have forgiven according to your request. Salach, lisloach, to forgive. So here are 4 words that you can read. Negev, Shana, Levi, and Salach. Any questions about those 4 words? Great. So they say here under learning hints and suggestions, by this time you've learned about 3/4 of the letters in the Hebrew alphabet. And after tonight, you'll be more like nearly 90%. So on to lesson 6 on the right-hand side of the page. And here we go with lesson 6. So in lesson 6, you are learning 4 new letters. But if you look at the screen, tell me, what do you see? What strikes you about those 4 letters? Anybody? Just visually.
Visually.
Let me ask you about the first 2. What strikes you about the first 2 letters?
The one with a dot in it is going to be a harder sound than the other one.
Well done, Reva. So the one with the dot and one without the dot are the same letter. They're the same letter, but one has a dot and the other hasn't. So now you are remembering very well, Reva, like the B and the V, and we'll come to that just now. Here we have it. B and V, same letter. One has a dot, so it's a hard sound. B. This one doesn't have a dot, so it's a soft sound. V. And then if you just follow, you can see my cursor, right?
Yeah.
So again with K and Ch. K, hard sound. Ch, soft sound. Now again, what do we have? P and F. Now we might in English not necessarily relate P and F as variations of the same sound, although I've never thought of this. I don't know if any of you have. PH in English is F, right? Never thought of that. It is actually, F is kind of a variation of P. But in English, the F and the P are unrelated. In Hebrew, they're the same. They're a variation of each other. So it's got the one that's got a dot, P, hard sound. The one without a dot, F, soft sound. And you can actually feel it in your mouth, in your palate. P, F. So those are the first 2 letters. So really, it's the same letter, but it's a variation. So those are the first 2 of the 4 we're learning tonight, P and F. The third one here that we're learning is a very interesting letter. It's a letter that has a sound that in English requires 2 letters, but in Hebrew requires only 1. and that is the sound ts. So in English, TZ, or as they have it here, TS.
But
They
it
have-
looks like an iron.
It does look like an iron. And in the next page, we'll try and show you how it differs from the iron. Well done, Rita. It does look like the iron. But it isn't quite the iron. It stands up a bit more, as we'll show you just now. And that is a very famous letter called the tzadi. The tzadi, the letter ts. So the word tzedakah, the word tzadik. So the word in Hebrew tzedek means justice. Tzedek, tzedek tirdof. Justice, justice shall you pursue, which is the word that gives us tzedakah. So what does it immediately tell you about the Jewish notion of charity? Tzedakah comes from which word? Tzedek. Tzedek means justice. Tzedakah is an act of justice. So it's not that you know, in English, it's like an act of charity. It's like you, some great person who come along and give something. But no, in Hebrew, it's a different conception altogether. It makes me think about your mom, Harriet, and the whole idea of Operation Hunger. It's not that us great people have to come along and help somebody. No, it's unjust that people are hungry. So tzedakah is actually an act of justice. So in Hebrew, tzedakah, different from the English idea of charity. So tzedek, from the word for justice, tzedakah, tzadik, a righteous man, all have this beautiful letter ts. It's a very elegant letter. It's a very upstanding letter. And we'll see just now how to use it. And then the last letter here for lesson 6 is a k sound, a kuf, that says k. Now, the problem is we've already learned k, have we not? Here it is.
Yes.
The ch with the dot in is k. So now in Hebrew, we have got 2 ways to say k. This one over here, and the new one, which is called kuf. Kuf. This little one is called a kaf. This one is called a kuf. And the kuf, for example, the word Knesset, the Hebrew, the Israeli parliament, starts with the letter kuf, Knesset. You couldn't.
Any reason, though, why one would be used and not the other?
Just spelling. So why in English do we have, I don't know, phone with a PH, whereas we have...
No, yeah, it's the same letter. It's K and K both times.
Yeah, with the same sound, right?
Same letter.
Same
Same
sound.
sound.
So in English, phone is a PH, face is an F. Now, could you write face with a PH? Never. If somebody wrote face with a PH, P-H-A-C-E, you would look at it and think, what the hell is this word? Right? Like the kids now, when they write phone on the WhatsApp, they don't use a PH anymore, they use an F, but it is wrong, right? So in Hebrew, I don't know, maybe they do that in the WhatsApp as well in Israel, but so in Hebrew, it's the same. It's K. It says K, but it's 2 completely different letters. And remember, we've already had 2 letters for the sound T, this one over here, the tet, and this one over here, the taf. So now we have got another one where it is the same, we've got the 2 viz, the vet and the vav. So this is now the 4th letter where there are 2 that make the same sound. So we've had the vav and the vav, we've had the vet and the vav, the chet and the chaf, we've had the tet and the taf, and now we've got the kaf and the kuf. So there are 4 letters that, and sorry to say, but there'll be one more before you finish learning Hebrew, where the sound is the same, but the letter is different. So let's just go over it by looking in the middle here. Pa, as in people, fa, as in food. The only difference is the one's got a dot, the other hasn't. Then we've got the tsa. They say tsa as in nuts. Fine. I prefer TZ, but anyway, it's tsa. And the easiest way to think of it is tzedakah. And then you've got ka as in kitty, the same as the other k, exactly the same sound, different letter only. So now let's just review where we are. We have learned so far the aleph, silent letter, bet, vet, gimel, dalet, he, vav, zayin, chet, tet, yud, kaf, chaf, lamed, mem, nun, samech, ayin, shin, taf. And now we are learning pei and fe, tzadi and kuf. So you are very far along now in the Hebrew alphabet. So can everybody just cast their eyes on those letters again? Aleph, bet, vet, gimel, dalet, he, vav, zayin, chet, tet, yud, kaf, chaf, lamed, mem, nun, samech, ayin, shin, and taf. And now pei, fe, tzadi, and kuf. You've learned all of those letters, and by the end of all the repetition we're going to do in this chapter and the practicing, you should be able to read words with all of those letters. Then let's remind ourselves of the vowels we've learned. A, same, Shabbat, a, I, a, e. Everybody see those vowels? A, I, a, e. So we've learned all of those vowels, and let's then, so before I go on to now applying and practicing, any questions so far? Okay, so now what this book is very good at doing is reminding us, sorry, I've done something that's made it blue, reminding us of things that sound alike and things that look alike. So they are reminding us that we've done b and v, k and ch, and now p and f. So these are the three, and there are no others. These are the three letters where putting the dot in the tummy makes a difference to the sound. B and v, k and ch, p and f. So any other letter in which you see a dot in the tummy, you can ignore that dot. It's only these three, b, v, k, ch, p, and f. So line 1 is a reasonably simple line. Whoopsie. It's a reasonably simple line. It's simply taking the vowel, one of 3 or 4 vowels, and applying it to these letters. So I'm going to do it first, then I'll ask for volunteers. Ke, be, pe, chi, vi, fi, pa, cha, fa, pe, and p. So I say it's reasonably simple, but what it does require is now remembering these new letters. So it is difficult. You've got to remember your vowel, and then you've got to see which letter am I dealing with. Ke, be, fe, chi, vi, fi, pa, cha, fa, pe, and p. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask everybody to put yourself on mute, but please read that line aloud to yourself. Ready and go. Okay, anybody willing to read the line aloud? at line 1. We're practicing the k, ch, the b, v, and the p, th. Anyone want to try line 1 aloud?
I'll try.
Thank you.
Key,
Vowel.
K,
Well done.
K, B,
Good.
P.
Good.
Then this is the E, like the I, right?
Yes. But it's
Okay.
the long one because of the yud.
Oh, so it's P,
Good.
V,
Good.
P,
Good.
no, V, Phi, and then P.
That's right. So fi and then
Oh, okay, so sorry, I'm pointing to Phi, and then that's the Pa.
good.
My gosh, Pa. Then we're back to the Cha. Cha,
Good.
Pa.
Uh,
No, I'm wrong.
This one is
Fa, the F. Fa,
right.
fa. Then this is the Pay
Good.
and P.
Well done, Harriet. Crushed it.
Sort of.
Very good. Very, very good. Ke, be, pe, fi, bi, fi, pa, cha, fa, pe, pi. Fantastic. So line 2 is now you drawing on those same sorts of letters that we've just done in line 1, some of the new ones and the ones that either have or haven't got a dot in, but adding back in the aleph, which we haven't seen for a bit, and adding back in the hey, which we haven't seen for a bit. So first of all, okay, let me read it, then everyone will do it for themselves, then I'll ask someone to volunteer. So line 2, ba, av, acha, ka, afa, pa. So now read it to yourself on mute. And any volunteer for line 2? Thank you, Reva.
Okay, good.
You'll
Reva,
do that.
good.
Thank you, Rob.
Okay. Ba, av, ama.
Actually, acha, but there's an impurity on the page. It's actually
Sorry.
no, it's my fault.
And it's also my vision, which is shocking. Okay.
It almost looks
Aha,
like a
it's
samech.
it's the hoof, not the kuf, right? No, it's the
Cha.
Let me just look in the
Aha.
actual, I just want to check the real
Don't worry.
page because I'm worried that it's a samech.
Now that's what I didn't like
I
either.
also
Robin.
wasn't sure.
No, that's the one I kept stum when you said yes.
Yeah, it is a cha. It's just that
There's
when
a
the
line
page
there.
was photocopied, there's just some impurity on it. So sorry about that. It is a cha. So it's
Okay.
acha.
Aha. Ka. Afa.
Good.
Pa.
Good.
Pa. Did you hear that? Pa.
We lost you now, I think, Rob. So the
Sorry,
last
am I
one-
back?
Yes.
That's right.
Okay.
Well done.
So the last
Well
one
done.
is pa.
Well done. So, ba, av, acha, ka, afa, and pa. So what's nice about that line, it's just the one vowel, as in Shabbat. Ba, av, acha, ka, afa, pa. So what they're getting you to practice here is the ka and the ch, the p and the f, the b and the v. So the three that change, whether they've got the bullet in the tummy, the ball in the tummy or not. Fantastic. Let's move on. So Reva, you'll be next with reading. But first, let's do line 3 like this. Bay, K, pay. Leva, lecha, and lefa. So everybody read to themselves, line 3.
Okay.
I remember somebody saying that huh looks like a piggy's tail. I don't know if that helps anybody.
No.
Actually, you know, p is a softer sound than f. That's what I'm finding confusing.
Pa.
Huh.
F. I suppose, no.
Huh. So, I mean,
Explosive.
the use of the word hard and soft is not right. But just listen to these 3 sounds. K, b, p. To me, they're all kind of definite sounds, right? As opposed to v, ch, and f.
So look explosives in a way.
Yeah, it's the more explosive one. K, b, p. That's right. It is. If you just follow your lips. B, p, k. And then ch, b, and v.
All right. Shall I
Okay,
stop?
so Reva is going to read. Thank you.
Okay. So the first one is bay,
Good.
pay, pay,
Okay, that's right.
lecha. Sorry, leva. La leva. Le.
Okay, good. Sorry,
And
Reva, we lost you a second. Did you say pay for the third one?
yes. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? It's got a dot.
Just because we lost you a second.
Okay. So
So do the third
I'll do it again.
pay.
So
Great.
it's
Maybe oh,
bay.
you just broke up a bit. Maybe take your video. You're good.
Okay, bay is the first one, and then K, and then pay, and then leva,
That's right. Very good.
and then lecha,
Good.
and lefa.
Good.
Lefa, I did it already.
Excellent.
It's
Lecha.
lecha.
Very
and
good. Well done, Reva. Lecha and lefa. Very good, Reva. Well done. Be, K, pay, leva, lecha, lefa. They're just getting you to distinguish between those different letters. So line 4 gives us the opportunity to practice the beautiful sadi, sadi, sel, sash. That's quite a hard thing to say. Sash, sid, fate, matzah. You all know what that is. Matzah is matzah is there, and then beitzah is an egg. Beitzah.
Oh.
So, please could you read for yourself on mute to yourself line 4? Good. So now any volunteer to read line 4 aloud? Otherwise, I can just read it for us.
I'll
Se-
try.
Thank you, Robin.
Se,
Good,
sel,
good,
sash,
good,
sit,
good,
sate,
good,
matzah,
good.
beitza.
Excellent. Absolutely great. Se, sel, sash, sit, sate, matzah, beitza. There you have two nice Hebrew words, matzah, beitza, egg. So before we continue with line 5, let's just look at what they're doing on the next page, on page 41. On page 41, they just want to get our mind to see that there's some letters that look a little bit alike. I don't always completely agree with them about what they think looks alike, but they say that the tzadi, which you've just learned, looks like the aleph. Okay. Probably the tzadi looks more like the ayin. The difference is that in the ayin, this line comes all the way to the bottom of the letter, whereas in the tzadi, it doesn't, it branches off. You can see when you write it, the one is like kind of a V with like a curve at the bottom. And this one is more something that comes up and then branches out. So yeah, it can be a little bit confusing, the tzadi and the ayin, but the tzadi, I don't know if this helps you. I think of it as like an upstanding letter, just like a tzaddik is an upstanding person. Upstanding, maybe that helps you, I don't know. And then, okay, so those are things that look alike, right? According to them, at least, certainly the ayin and the tzadi do look alike. And then you've got things that sound alike, and we've already been through the kuf and the kaf. They sound alike, they sound not just alike, but the same. The kuf and the kaf, they are one of 5 pairs that are repeats in the Hebrew alphabet. So that gives us a chance to come back now to line 5 and 6 and 7. So lines 5, 6, and 7, what they are trying to do with these lines is they're trying to get us to practice all the same sounds along with the vowels that we've learned. It's just that now, instead of having shorter words, they're slightly longer words. So let's just do the same thing we've been doing. Line 5, let me read it first. Ka, fa. Ka, va. Ka, cha. Pick, pick, kick. Try and read that to yourself on mute. Okay, anybody want to volunteer for line 5?
I'll try.
Thank you, Harriet.
Kapa,
What did you say? Ka?
kapa.
No dot in it, so it's a?
Oh, it's a f. Kafa.
Good.
Kafa. Kava.
Good.
Kacha.
Good.
Then this is pick.
Good.
Pick
Big, good.
and kick.
Excellent. Well read, Harriet. Fantastic. So now that brings us to line 6. Line 6, everything has 3 letters, so it's all a bit more difficult. Some of them have 4 letters, but it's exactly the same story. And here there's a lot of practicing of the letter tzadik. Let me read for you. Ke tsa, tsa cha, tsa va, pizza. Safid, a save. So they threw in the word pizza. Actually, interesting, in Italian, a double Z is a tsa, isn't it? Pizza. Whereas in English, how do we spell pizza in English? We spell it with 2 Z's. We say, yeah, but we don't say pizza, which is what it says phonetically. We say pizza, because we're saying the Italian pronunciation effectively, right? If you write the word...
What else did you use on the last letter, on the last word?
Say again?
This last word, just say it again.
8 save.
It's save.
Why is the vowel A on the first one and A on the second? Say it again.
No, 8 save. That's both A, 8 save.
But those 2 dots are E.
No, those 2 dots are A.
Are
So,
A.
remember, so here was your kick, right? Your pick, and kick that you read for us so well.
Yeah.
That's E. And these 2 dots next to each other is A, as in AY.
Okay, I got confused. Yeah, thanks.
No problem. A save. So if you wrote the word matzah in English, you would use a TZ. Right. So let me do that line again. Ketsa, sacha, sava, pizza, safid, a save. Okay, read that to yourself silently or on mute, aloud but on mute. Fantastic. So now any volunteer for line 6? We're just going to do 6 and 7, and that'll probably bring us to the end of our time. Any volunteer for line 6?
Okay.
I'm good if nobody else wants.
Let me just read
I'll
it
put
again.
my hand up.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Okay, good. Reva, and then Marion. I'm still going to...
Marion knows it all off by heart already. She's terrific.
I do.
Good, Reva.
You do, yes, you do. Shall I try, Marion?
Thank you, Reva.
Carry on,
thanks.
Reva.
Okay. Okay, now big mouth. Let's see what happens. Ketsa,
Good.
sacha,
Good.
sava,
Good.
pizza,
Good.
safid,
Good.
and a save.
Excellent, Reva. Absolutely brilliant. 100%. Or as I say in Hebrew, mea achuz, 100%. The third word here, tzava. Anyone knows what it means?
Sava,
You heard that word before?
sava.
Army.
That's right. It means army.
Oh,
If you go to Israel, that's right. Thank you, Lawrence. So if you go to Israel, you'll see that on the uniform of the soldier that you'll see on the bus, or on his dubon or on his uniform, it says there, Tzahal. And Tzahal is an acronym for Tzva Haganah LeYisrael, which means the Army of Defense of Israel. So Tzava is an army. Ketsa, Sacha, Sava, Pizza, Safid, Eitsev. Last line for this page is line 7. Let me read it to you. Kad, Dik, Ketsa, Kacha, Ba, Va, Pa, Fa, and Sik. So you can see they're really trying to make sure you know the difference between the kiz, the biz, the fizz, and the piz. I'll read it to you again. Kad, dik, ketsa, kacha, bava, pafa, and sid. Read it to yourself, please, everybody. Good. Since it's the last line for the evening, I'm going to ask Marion to read it for us.
Thank you. Kad, Dik, Ketsa, Kacha, Bava, Pafa, Zik.
Excellent. So what I hope everybody can just check is that this fourth word, kacha, can you see the first one is a ka and the second one is a cha? Kacha. As in, by the way, kacha, kacha. Are you doing kacha, kacha? Okay. Kacha.
I'll just make one comment, please.
Please,
I think the
Lawrence.
first word in line 7 has to do with kashrut,
Cud.
because the animal has to be able to chew the cud.
Okay. That's interesting. Yes.
All right, sorry.
And
Okay. I couldn't
That's
resist.
right.
It's play.
What a sense of humor.
Well
sense of
spotted,
humor,
Lawrence. Well spotted.
Doesn't mean cut.
Eh?
It's his sense of humor. Doesn't mean cut. Doesn't mean
It
cut.
took me a minute. It
I
took me a
get it
minute.
from my cousin.
Yeah, right. Well done, Lawrence. Cud. Exactly. Cud in English. So you're all seeing that this word is kacha. The ka and then the cha. Kacha. Then this word you're seeing is bava. The ba and then the va. Bava. The third one, pafa. Pa-fa. Sick. So anyone want to just, please everybody just check those 3 words for me, because those are the important ones. You've now got these letters that have got these different sounds, whether they've got the p and the f, whether they've got the dot. So the k and the ch, the b and the v, the p and the f.
And they put the dot in the D again to upset us in the
Where
second
did they
letter.
Yes, that's right. That's
Yes,
right. They did.
That's
That's
it.
right. But what we now know is that these are the only ones that you have to worry about, are the ones here in these words. Kacha, biva, p, and f. We're not going to give you another one to trouble you. So that at least. Now they wanted us to read. They wanted us to read this line aloud. Not sure why they want this, but okay, let's do it for them. A, sa, I, si, el, sel, baal, batzel, say. Next line, I, a, si, say, al, sal, ka, kish, and kish. So we are about halfway through lesson 6. I'm just going to make it smaller a minute because I want to show you what we're going to do next. And I want to just tell you something so that if you learn it for yourself while I'm away next week, that you will be able to do so. So the rest of the chapter doesn't teach any new letters. It's just the practicing of letters. But what it does do is it teaches us a new vowel. So I'm just going to tell you about that vowel, especially because of the problem of the pronunciation of the book. So you remember that you've got this letter here called a vav. That's the vav. Now, the funny thing that happens in Hebrew is that if the vav gets a dot on top of it,
It's not a
it
vowel.
transforms itself into a vowel. So instead of being a vav, it becomes a vowel. And the vowel is O. Now, the sound of the O is O, as in O. You see, I wrote here as in O. So Harriet, please put this in your, write this into your book. The sound is O. I don't know how else to say in English. What else has a sound O in English? O.
Paw. Paw.
Floor. Maybe a slightly longer floor.
Yeah,
But
the
it's-
paw is also longer.
Yeah.
Bottom.
Bottle, not quite. The sound is O. Like, you know, the Hebrew word lo, which means no.
No.
Lo. No. Lo. No. Oh. That's the
Lo.
sound.
Leon,
That's yes.
law, L-O-R-E.
Oh, that's good. Law. Yeah, that kind of works. Law. It's perhaps a little longer law. This is oh.
Yeah.
That's the sound. So the Hebrew word lo. Okay. Or if you know the word for where. In Hebrew, when you want to say where, you say a for. A for. Oh.
What
As
about just paw then?
oh. Yeah, paw, P-A-W. Paw, but it's not O, it's O. So for me, the only thing I can say is oh. It's not a typical sound in English. It's
Agree.
oh. And if you can just think of the Hebrew word law. Many of us know the Hebrew word for no, law. So that's
Yeah.
what it is. It's law, as in oh. It's not show, as in show. So they've put here show. Oh, show. It's not that. And they've also put boat, as in oat. No, it's not that. Even if you pronounce it in American, show, no, it still doesn't work. So I don't know what they're going on about here. I get that it's quite difficult to find an English sound like that. For me, it's oh. It's the only one I can tell you. When the vav gets a dot on its head, it says oh. I'm not a vav anymore. Oh. Someone hit me on the head.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
It's perfect.
Right. So when the vav gets a dot on its head, it says oh.
No, it's a good one.
Perfect.
That's the way. So it's not show and it's not boat. It's oh. So the funny thing is that this little dot that's now oh. This oh. If it sits on top of the vav, it says oh. And as we shall see on the next page, and I'm just telling you this more as a preview, you don't have to worry too much about it. If this sits above a letter, like this one that sits above, like let me show you here. Let me just make it a bit bigger. If it sits here, like this one here, the vav is missing, but the dot is still there. So it's just a dot up above. It still says oh. So it should have, and it generally does have, the vav with the oh. Once in a while, the vav goes missing. And then it still says oh. So if I read it to you at the bottom here, line 1, or, sure, more, ko,
Where are we?
bo. Sorry, we're at the bottom of page 42. Do, lo, and got. So line 1, bottom of page 42. O, sure, mo, ko, bo, do, lo, and got. But then on line 2, suddenly the vav disappeared, but the little dot is still there saying, oh, 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 oh. Do, ho, zo, ho, shov, nok, sod, zog, po.
Wow.
On line 3, pok, pok, sok, sok, coca, cola. Ah, what?
Coca-Cola.
Cola. They threw that in Coca-Cola. So I didn't quite mean to teach you this vowel this time, and I'm sorry to introduce it at 6:20, but just because I'll be away, and I would like everybody to work on chapter 6. This little, when the vav gets a dot on top, it transforms. It has a transformation. It goes from being a letter va to being a vowel o. So when a dot on its head, it says o, o. And then sometimes, for some reason, the vav that is supposed to, it's like I don't know, it's like somebody holding up a ball. Once in a while, the vav that's supposed to hold it up here goes missing, and we suddenly just have this suspended dot. And when that happens, which is not that often, but it does happen, the dot just sits above the letter and slightly to its left. If you see it just sitting up there chilling, it still says the same thing, oh. And once in a very blue moon, you get the v that needs the o. So it's a terrible situation because you've got the v, and then you suddenly have the o slightly next to it, and then it says vo. And funnily enough, the word mitzvot looks like that. Mitzvot, when it's mitzvot. But anyway, I'm really getting ahead of myself now. We don't need to know that now. What we need to know is that's an o, not an o and not a boat, o as in o. And even if the vav is missing and it's just the above, it still says o. So this word here is more, and the word next to it is also more. More and more. Any question about this crazy vowel called o?
Yes. So we cannot say.
Okay, so
we can't allow. We can't say a dot above every letter.
Yes.
Is o, because if it's above a shin, it's got no sound, and there's a dot on a shin.
okay.
And
So the
that's
dot on the shin is
o.
it's a little bit confusing because the dot on the shin does matter, right? That's why they've given the word here. They've given this example, sure. Because this dot, which sits on the right-hand side, tells you that it's a sh.
Yeah.
Right? This is the vowel. It's kind of suspended between the two letters. Because think of it, it should have the vav underneath it.
So
But
it's
the vav went missing.
okay.
So
So
it just happens to be.
all right. So if it's a sound without the vav,
So that's right. It'll be between the two letters because the
thank you. It would be between, but it wouldn't be above. I've lost you.
Oops, where's everybody gone?
Carry on, Reva.
Sorry, I said it would never be above the letter like it is with the shin. It would be between on its own. So we've got to
Exactly right.
be very careful.
Exactly right. Exactly right, Reva. Because what it's supposed to be above, it's supposed to be a vav that's next to the shin. But the
Okay.
vav went missing and it just
happy.
left its little dot sitting there. But as I say, it's quite rare. Usually they'll give you the vav with the dot on top, or sho, mo, ko, bo, do, lo, and got. So it's an o. Don't let anybody tell you it's a boat or a show. It's not. It's o as in o. So now what this gives us is in lesson, you've now learned a new vowel and you've learned 4 new letters. Kind of 3.5, or you learned 4, but 2 of them are variations. And what that means is that you can now practice the rest of the rest of chapter 6. So what you will see is that by the end of chapter 6, you can read some pretty expansive stuff. So don't get overwhelmed, because if you look at it all at once, it looks like a lot. But I'm just going to point you to line 4 on page 46. And I just want to show you that you can read this now. I'm not saying you could read it like immediately, but just look at line 4 with me quickly. And you'll see why I chose this line. I see Reva's nodding. She's got it. Mi ka mocha ba kodesh. So those are words from a phrase that is well known to you. Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh. So it's not the whole line, but it's some of it. Mi kamocha. So now you've got the o, kamo, kamocha, o, kamocha. So what I want to suggest is work with chapter 6 by yourself next week. So we won't meet next week, we'll meet the week after. Rather than trying to put in a catch-up lesson and disorganizing everybody's diaries, I suggest that from now until Rosh Hashanah, we just extend our lesson to an hour, if you don't mind. I've just done it unilaterally tonight, I apologize. But let's meet for an hour from now until Rosh Hashanah, because what I really hope is that we'll be able to actually get through everything in time for the high holidays. What it will probably mean is that we do a little bit less revision than we should. But it just means we'll get through, and then we can carry it on after the high holy days and just consolidate and revise. But what would be nice would just be if you can read all the letters and all the vowels by then, because then you can sit with the prayer book with the machzor on the high holy days, and you can actually be able to read it yourself. Okay, it will still take time to consolidate and practice. So please, what I'd like you to do for the rest of for homework, and including for next week, is just do whichever parts of chapter 6 you can. So obviously it gets that they start slower and then it gets a bit harder. And I'm not going to try and send you all the lines, but maybe just actually I'm contradicting myself now, but maybe the thing to do is just to start with the things we did tonight.
Yeah.
So just start with the things we did tonight and go over them.
Would you mind giving us a recording?
A better idea
of say 40, page 40, or because it's very helpful if one's practicing to have heard it again, because you have no benchmark where you right or wrong.
Yeah, you're quite right, Harriet. I will send you line 40 and 41, and I will also send you line 42 and pages 42 and 43. So if everybody can work on those next week by yourselves up to the end of page 43, then you've learned it all. If you want to start looking at page 44 and 45, 46 and 47, you can, but it's probably a bit intimidating. It's quite a lot of text there. Yeah, so let's not do that. Let's rather concentrate up to page 43. You work on that by yourselves. And then in 2 weeks' time when we meet, we'll work on pages 44, 45. After that, you have got hardly anything left to learn. You've got one more vowel, and you've got basically 2 more letters. So we really are nearly there. Please concentrate on up to page 45. I will send you the recording. Sorry to be taking skipping next week. But okay, wishing everybody well, and please do practice, because it's getting to the point now where if you forget something, it's kind of hard then to put it all together again. So please, everybody, practice up to page 43. I will send the recording, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
Recording sounds wonderful. Thank you.
Have a
you,
safe
Jacob.
long
Yeah.
weekend, everybody.
Yeah, have a lovely
Enjoy.
time.
Whatever you're doing,
Bye.
enjoy.
And happy Women's Day, strong women and men.
To us all.
Yes. Lael, also just a few announcements. I don't know if anyone would like to join us, but we do. Temple Israel Hillbrow has an extraordinary event. We didn't really plan it as such, but it's a Zoom wedding on Sunday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The people are having it in a big venue, but they've been working with Rabbi David Benjamin, whom they knew in Israel. And so we're really doing nothing, but if anyone would like to join us on Zoom, I don't know what it's going to be like. I have no idea. So it'll be our normal link. Jacob will sending it out. As I said, it's between Rabbi David and this Tammy Solomon. That's all I know. And then, of course, we let you know what's happening on Friday night and Shabbat morning. So thank you so much. And have a wonderful time, Lael, wherever you are.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy Women's Day and lots of love.
Thanks.